Welcome back to part 2 of our post-apocalyptic movie series. In this video, we're diving deeper into the top unknown post-apocalyptic movies that you haven't seen yet. From hidden gems to underrated masterpieces, get ready to discover films that will keep you on the edge of your seat in 2024.
We made it this far. You and me.
Number 10. The Stand. The Stand is a terrifying tale of the apocalyptic end of the world, where humanity is decimated by a deadly virus known as Captain Trips. This deadly virus spares no one. Billions of people die in a short period of time, and the survivors face chaos and hopelessness. The world that remains becomes the arena for the final battle between light and darkness, where the survival of the remnants of humanity is at stake. The series takes us on a journey into the darkest recesses of human nature, and it's not just a story about the struggle between good and evil. It's a suspenseful analysis of how easily civilization can crumble, and man, when forced, will show his worst instincts. Number 9. Finn. This film arouses anxiety from the very first minutes, drawing the viewer into a spiral of unease, fueling the growing feeling of danger with each passing moment. A group of old friends meet years later in a mountainous remote area cut off from civilization, in a place where they once had adventures together. However, what was supposed to be a pleasant reunion years later quickly turns into a nightmare. After a series of strange phenomena and unexplained events, something frightening begins to happen. The people around them begin to disappear, as if they were literally dissolving into thin air, leaving only silence and a growing sense of loneliness. They have no idea what is happening or how to remedy it. All indications are that something ancient, perhaps even supernatural, is lurking just around the corner, and time is inexorably running out. Number 8. Stakeland. Stakeland from 2015 is a film for those looking for a true horror movie. It depicts a world where an epidemic of terrifying creatures comes to life from the shadows of the night. Vampires, which once existed only in legends, are now spreading like a virus, taking control of entire communities. These are not the romantic creatures we know from pop culture. They are bloodthirsty monsters, merciless and hungry, capable of destroying entire cities. Humans struggle to survive in a reality where every sound at night can mean death, and every friend can harbor dark secrets. The atmosphere of the film is thick with tension, and fear lurks in every nook and cranny. If you like stories that give you chills and keep you in suspense from beginning to end, Stakeland is sure to give you that feeling. This is a film that manages to draw you into its dark, horror-filled world and not let go until the last minutes. Number 7. Into the Forest. The next offering is a dark and disturbing film that takes the viewer into the heart of a terrifying post-apocalyptic world. The story is set in an isolated house in the forest, where two sisters try to survive in a world that is suddenly plunged into darkness. In an instant, all the achievements of civilization, electricity, internet, transportation, disappear, and only they, the forest, and the unknown threats that lurk in the darkness remain. The film is not a typical horror film full of jump scares, but rather slowly builds an atmosphere of anxiety and desperation. The main focus is on the psychological struggle of the female characters, their fear of the unknown, and the need to face terrifying choices. As resources dwindle and threats become more real, the sisters discover how thin the line between humanity and savagery is. The film gradually draws you into a suffocating, claustrophobic atmosphere and makes you think about your basic survival instincts. Number 6. Bokeh. The film introduces the viewer to a terrifying vision of a world where suddenly, without explanation, all people disappear. A pair of young Americans on vacation in Iceland wake up one day to discover that they are the only survivors on the entire planet. What begins as a surreal dream quickly turns into a nightmare as they realize the vast emptiness around them. With no answers to what happened and growing isolation, their sense of reality begins to crumble and the tension between them increases. The film builds an atmosphere of uncertainty and loneliness, where silence and stillness become frightening. This is a story not only about the end of the world, but also about the human psyche, which cannot bear such loneliness. Instead of typical horror scenes, Bokeh scares through its existential questions and feeling of emptiness, which can be as frightening as any supernatural horror. Number 5, Domain. If you are looking for a film that will knock you into your seat, keeping you in constant suspense while touching the recesses of the human psyche, then Domain is just for you. A dark, claustrophobic science fiction thriller, it draws the viewer into an atmosphere of mounting tension and anxiety. The film is set in the future, in a world destroyed by a mysterious virus that forces humanity to live in isolated underground bunkers. The characters are trapped in cramped spaces, communicating with each other only through computer screens. Each of them fights not only for survival, but also with his own demons, which gradually come to the surface, destroying the fragile bond with other survivors. The film builds an atmosphere full of paranoia and uncertainty, in which with each passing day it becomes clear that the greatest threat may not only be the virus, but people themselves. Tension builds, and the atmosphere of confinement and loneliness intensifies the fear. Number 4, Hell. A chilling horror movie. It will take us to the near future, where the sun has become a mortal enemy. A terrifying heat wave has turned the Earth into a hell on Earth, where the sun's rays are deadly and water and food are almost impossible to find. The survivors, barely alive, are struggling to survive in a world of desperation, hunger, and endless horror. A group of survivors, including 2 sisters and their friend, traverse the desolate landscape in search of shelter. But in this desolate, incinerated world, the sun is not their only enemy. They soon discover that the people they encounter may be even more dangerous than nature itself. In an atmosphere of constant tension and danger, the characters must face their own fears and moral dilemmas as they face life and death decisions. Number 3, These Final Hours. These Final Hours is a terrifying vision of the end of the world, where death is inevitable and every day could be your last. The film is set in the final hours before a global catastrophe, as a wave of fire heads toward Earth, destroying everything in its path. Amid the chaos and desperation, people face their darkest instincts, fighting for survival or simply trying to find meaning in the last moments of life. The film tells the story of James, a man who at first is focused solely on his needs, simply wanting to make it to the end surrounded by partying and drugs. Everything changes when he accidentally meets a young girl, Rose, lost in this world full of death and destruction. Then begins a truly dark journey that leads James to discover what really matters in life, even if that life is about to end in a few hours. The film is not only scary because of its post-apocalyptic atmosphere, but also because it forces viewers to reflect on their own lives and values in the face of impending doom. Number 2, 12 Monkeys. 12 Monkeys is a dark series based on the movie of the same name, in which we follow the story of a man who travels back in time to stop the apocalypse. The story revolves around a mysterious organization called the Army of the 12 Monkeys, which has destroyed civilization by releasing a deadly virus. The main character, Cole, must go back to the past and discover the truth in order to save humanity from annihilation. The series combines elements of psychological thriller, dark intrigue, and science fiction to create an atmosphere full of suspense and mystery. If you like stories full of surprising twists, mysteries, and dark atmospheric moments, 12 Monkeys is definitely worth a watch. Number 1, Only. Only is a film that takes us to a post-apocalyptic reality where humanity is on the brink of extinction. A mysterious plague begins to decimate women around the world, leaving behind a dark and frightening reality where every surviving woman becomes the prey of desperados and the world descends into chaos and despair. The main character, Eva, is in hiding with her partner, trying to survive in a world that is turning into hell. Every day is a struggle for survival, and every person she meets can be an enemy. In this harsh and ruthless world, hope becomes a scarce commodity, and the boundaries of humanity blur in the face of the apocalypse. The film forces the viewer to ask himself, how far are we able to go to survive? With each successive frame, the tension builds, and the feeling of anxiety does not leave for a moment. Thanks for watching part 2 of our ranking. If you found a new favorite, let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more hidden movie gems. Stay tuned and see you in the next video.